Hey guys, Millie and Sebastian here. Today we're going to do a video that goes over how to use the Insert tab in Excel. So the current document I'm in is called Excel Tutorial, and down at the bottom you'll see that I'm in the Game Score tab or worksheet. So let's get started with the Insert tab. We're actually not going to go over pivot tables in this video. I'm going to dedicate an entire video by itself just to pivot tables. So we're going to start with tables and make our way down the line. First of all, we have a list of players in a game, and this is how many points they have after each round, ending with a final score. So I'm going to clear out this cell right here, and I'm going to just highlight the area of the table, not including this big cell at the top because it's not really part of the data. And I'm just going to click Table, and Excel knows then that that's the area I want to make my table. The other option would be, instead of highlighting, to just enter the cell range right into this box right here. But Excel's done that for me since I highlighted this first. Now, does my table have headers? Yes, that's up here. We are telling Excel which round of the game we're in. It's not actually data points, it's our column headers, so yes, we want that checked, and okay. Great. So you'll see that we are immediately brought to a new tab, which is the Table Tools Design tab, and let's see what we can do in this tab right here. The first option you'll see in the Tools section is Summarize with Pivot Table. So let's just see what that does. Summarize with Pivot Table, and it's going to create a pivot table, and we already have the right range selected, which is Table 2, which is the name of this table. And would we want to put this in a new worksheet or existing? Well, let's just put it in the same worksheet that we're in right now. And so location, I'm just going to click over here to the right of my table. Okay, there's my pivot table. We're not going to mess with that right now. I'm just going to undo, but now you know how to add the pivot table. Let's go back to the Design tab. Remove duplicates. Let's go ahead and click that. And if I happen to have two people with the same name, I actually wouldn't want to remove that row, right, because those represent two separate people. But if I accidentally entered the same person twice, then that person would have the same score for every round. So if I'm looking in this dialog box here, I actually want to say only remove the data or remove the duplicate if it's a duplicate in every single category. So we would want them all selected, and my data has headers. Okay, let's go ahead and click OK. One duplicate value found. Alright, and it looks like Smith was repeated, and now Smith is just the first row and not duplicated down here. Awesome. Let's go ahead and look at the third option, convert to range. Do you want to convert the table to a normal range? Yes. And you'll notice just that the little drop downs went away. Now these are just normal cells, and they're no longer a table, so I can't get that Design tab again. But if I didn't want to do that, there's no problem. I can always undo. However, if I actually wanted to get rid of all the formatting, everything, just bring this back to how it was before, I can highlight all of this, and in the Home tab, I could go over to Clear, and I'll do Clear Formats. Okay, so don't worry about these little error signs right here. There's really nothing that drastically wrong with these cells currently. Let's bring it back to how we had it before, though, as a table. Awesome. Alright, let's get back to our Insert tab. Let's click in our table and finish up the Design tab, actually. Let's skip over to the table style options, and we'll see header row. We can turn that on or off. We can turn on or off the banded rows. We could add a total row, which maybe is important for our data, maybe not. Depends on what type of data we have. Don't really need it here for this game. And maybe we want to add special formatting to the first column or the last column or both. And banded columns, that's a little too much, so I'm not going to include banded columns, but you can see the effect that that has. Colors every other column. Alright, table styles over here. You have all your presets if you just click the little down arrow. And you can see all the different options ranging from the very subtle to the very intense. I think we're fine with what we have right now. And you can actually save a new table style, which we're not going to do right now. Great, that's it for the Table Tools Design tab. Back to the Insert tab. If I want to put a picture somewhere in my Excel document, then of course I'm going to click Picture right here. And let's put Game Time. Cool. So this image actually goes so that it is flush with the left and top of the cell that I had selected. But if that's not where I wanted it, I am now free to move it wherever. And I have the Picture Tools Format tab popping up, and I can do all sorts of fun stuff with the image, but that's not the scope of what we're doing today. So I will just leave this image over here. Clip art, similar concept. Click on clip art, and you might want to search for something involving games, and then look for the right option for you, and double click to bring that into your document. Shapes, similar to similar to Word and PowerPoint, so nothing really new here, but if we do the drop down, we can pick our shape, and then we can draw it and edit that shape. Let's delete to get rid of that. Okay, what else can we do? Smart art. Maybe we want a smart art containing the names of all of our players, so I'm going to click Smart Art, bring up this box. That seems like a perfectly fine smart art. I'm going to go OK, and let me grab the names of the people who played. I'm going to do Control C to copy, and click in my smart art, click in the text pane right here, and I'm going to highlight all of these, and Control V will put those names, which were on my clipboard, into the text pane. Perfect, they're now part of the smart art, and I can make appropriate edits to that, but right now I'll just push that off to the side. There's no need for that on this side of the table. Okay, great. Next step would be to add a screenshot, and that will just allow you to put a screenshot of other programs that you have open on your computer. So here's a screenshot, and it's treated just like any other image. Same formatting toolbar or ribbon tab comes up, and you can do borders or artistic effects, so on and so forth. I'm going to delete this one. Our page is getting a little crowded. Great, now we've made it to the charts area, and I think I want to make a chart for our game, and I'll just highlight all the data, which goes from B2 down to H9. Okay, and let's pick a type of chart that we want for this data. So column chart, we could try that. Let's see how that looks. So that's fine. It's kind of crowded, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm just going to delete that. Line. Okay, let's try line. I like that idea. All right, this is also kind of crowded, but let's see what we can do with this chart. So I'm going to make it larger, and that's okay if it goes in front of our data. And what I notice is that for each person, those people are kind of on the x-axis, and then for each round of the game, we have the line connecting the data points. So it's almost like for each round, it's acting like time is passing, since that's what a line chart does. So that's not quite what I want. I want to show for each person their progress throughout the game. So let's look in the Chart Tools Design tab, and I'm going to switch the row and column. There we go. This makes more sense. And now I can see, for example, Mr. and Miss Smith. Okay, Mr. and Miss Smith, where is that? Right here, this blue line that kind of dips below the others. And now we can see Smith's progress throughout the game. This makes more sense. Awesome. If I still didn't like this chart type, I could change it with this button right here. Okay, so many options available to us. Save as template if I wanted to maybe make some edits to this and then save this for future use. I can give it whatever name I like, but I'm not going to do that right now because I didn't really do anything special to this, so there's no point in making it a template. Let me just cancel out on that then. We already did switch row and column, which you saw inverted our data. Let's say we forgot to include a person, or we added a new person underneath here, so Jones, and we'll just make up some numbers. Okay, so let's click on our chart, and we can do select data. Look at that, already updated for us. If we wanted to grab some more data, we could just simply do backspace in this cursor bar right here, and then we can just grab the data ourselves, if that's what we feel like we need to do. And once we've grabbed the appropriate data, then okay, and let's look at the chart. Awesome, now it's updated to reflect our new addition to our game. Cool. Next option is chart layout, so that just adds different combinations of with the legend or without the legend, or with a data table at the bottom or without a data table. And let's see, there are 12 different layouts, so all preset for you, and then you can go in, of course, and make changes as you see fit. Next would be, let's get rid of this layout. I'm not a fan of the data table. Alright, next we can change the style, so depending on color-wise, whatever suits our fancy. If we like all orange, we can do that. Undo. Okay, and then move chart. So maybe this worksheet's getting a little too crowded, so I'm going to move this chart, and I'll just put it on a new sheet, and we'll call it final score, because it's, well, it's not the final score. We'll call it players score. Okay. Alright, players score, maybe players scores. I could edit that later. And it just brings it up to a new worksheet or a new tab, which was in front of my old one. Neat. Okay. Next thing we need to do, let me just undo that. Okay, this is having some technical difficulties. Excuse me a sec. Alright, here's what I'll do. I'm just going to add a new line chart right here and flip it. Okay, layout, we're not going to go over all this right now. You can watch my separate charts video once that's posted. And format will allow you to format various components of the chart. And that's it for charts. Let's see what else we need to be able to do in the Insert tab. So now I'll delete this. Next category is sparklines. So sparklines are like little tiny charts right next to our data or somewhere within our Excel worksheet, but the cool thing is it just fits into one little cell. Let me show you what I mean. Right here, I am going to put down a visual representation for Smith's points. So that means I'm going to put a sparkline of some sort right next to Smith's numbers. So that would mean I want to be in I3, and I'm going to click line. So I get a dialog box, and data range, well, that's the data that I want to show as a little mini graph or a sparkline. So I want to show Smith's entire progress from round 1 to the end, so I'm going to highlight all those numbers. And then location range, well, I already picked my location range, which was I3, right? And if I click inside this box here, it'll show that I have that selected. But if I didn't select the correct box, now's my chance to edit, and I can just delete this current box here and then click on the appropriate one. But this is fine. That's where I want my sparkline to go. So I'm going to click OK. And might have trouble seeing. Let me zoom in. It's a little bitty graph, and you can see it mirrors how Smith has been doing in the game. It starts off at 10, dips down, comes back up, almost plateaus off or dips a little at the end. Cool, so this is really a very much simplified graph or chart, and you might have trouble seeing it. It is really tiny, so maybe you want to play with the size of your column and make it a little wider. That's fine. Makes it a little easier to see. Okay, great. So I want to do this for everybody, and I don't want to have to go down the list doing all those steps where I have to come click here. So I'm just going to copy it. This can be copied down a row or across columns, and just like regular data can. So I'm going to use my autofill handle. Just make sure you can see the appropriate cursor, which is the simple black cross. Okay. Once I've got that, I click there, just regular old left click, and drag down. Look at that. Beautiful. Everybody has a sparkline. Awesome. Let's see what else we can do with sparklines. When we have our sparkline cell selected, we can actually do some editing, and this is really similar to charts, but more simplified. So I have colors right here that I can make the sparkline if I want orange instead. I'm going to undo that. If I didn't grab the right data, I can go back and do that. So edit data brings up the same dialog box, and then I could delete this and then go back and put in the right range. Okay. Alright, I'm just going to cancel that. Don't want to change because it was already correct. Other options that we can show. Let's turn on the high point, and it shows a little mark for the highest point for each individual. Low point, let me go turn that off. Turn that off. Negative points are shown with the little red marker. Okay, markers, they actually show the data points, and first point and last point. So all those you can toggle on and off, and in various combinations. Sparkline color, once again, we can get more picky with the colors instead of the presets, and then marker color, we can change the dots. Don't worry about anything over here that's more advanced than you guys need to know. Alright, other sparklines, we don't have to be confined to just lines. We could do columns instead. So let's do a column, and we want a column for, well, we want the same data as we had before. The only thing we need to be careful of is that we don't grab this in as well, because that's not a data point, that's just a sparkline. So let's grab our data. Alright, we've picked the correct cell already. Okay, or I'll hit enter. There we go, and drag it down the group. Alright. And this is more of the column type, just like when we see the column charts for our chart options. And our third category of sparklines is win-loss. So let's go to sparklines win-loss, and our data range is the same. Okay, and this just shows you if the points are positive or negative or 0 for each data point, or for, in this case, for each round. So for example, when we have a 0 here, it's represented by just a blank spot, and it's surrounded by these red markers, which are just representing the negative points. Great. Now what if we need to include these spark lines? What if we wanted to put them actually in our table? So we would go to our table. Aha, resize table. So your cursor needs to be somewhere in your table so that you get the design tab, and then resize table. See the marching ants? They're not completely around everything we want. We want to go out to here, and so I'll just start clicking down here and drag up here. Okay, cool. So now the spark lines are also part of our table, which may or may not be something you would ever want to do. Great, let's go back to the Insert tab, and we are making our way through that, and we're almost finished. So let's go on to hyperlinks. You don't need to worry about slicers, okay? Just hyperlinks. What if we wanted to add a link from the final score, and we wanted that to link to this next tab where we have prizes for the top 3 people? Well, that's easy enough. So if I want to add a hyperlink to all of these, and it's the same link, brings me to the same place, I'll just highlight all of them at once. Okay, so that means if I click anywhere in here, it'll take me to the next page. Hyperlink, get the dialog box, and where do I want to go? Not a web page, it's a place in this document, and prizes, that's the name of the tab that I want, so I'm going to hit OK. Cool. So now anytime I click anywhere in there, boom, we are on the next tab, or the next sheet. Alright, now text boxes, let's add a text box. When you click text box, you notice it's highlighted, and we have a special new cursor, and just click somewhere. It just adds a simple text box, and maybe you want to say game night was a success. Alright, and now this can pretty much be formatted like a shape, which it really is. So go on to the Format tab. As long as you have this selected, you'll see that Format tab, and then fill it how you would like, and do what you want with your text. And then you can format your text with more advanced commands in the Home tab, and that's text boxes. Really, it's as simple as that. So we'll just move this. Okay, next, back to the Insert tab, header and footer. So let's click header and footer, and I already have a current header or footer. Let me get rid of that. Alright, so let's go to our header, and we get a fresh new tab. Another thing you've noticed is that the view changed, so don't freak out about that. I'll show you how to get back to the normal view that you're used to. But right now, let's add a header and footer. So our first option for header, click down. Wow, we see a lot of options here, and it kind of looks intimidating, but really don't be intimidated. All this is a bunch of pre-made headers that contain different combinations of data about your document. So if I pick this one, game score, HP Confidential, page 1, well, what is that? Let's click it and see. So it's going to add the first component, game score, to the first component, the first box of the header, and then the middle section of the header, HP Confidential, and the page 1 goes in the third category, or the third section. And what's happening here when I click? Well, I see this weird thing going on. It changes the text. All this is, when I see the and sign and then these brackets, that's like a placeholder for Excel, telling Excel, hey, you need to grab whatever the name of this tab is and stick it in this header box right here. So we're in the game score tab currently, or worksheet currently, and that's what Excel is putting right here. Alright, HP Confidential, that is the supposed name of the company that I work for, and so that's what it's going to put in the middle section. And then right here, page and page, so it's going to say page, and then this represents whatever page of the document we're on. So right now that says page 1, scooch over here, page 2, and it's as simple as that. So back to the header design tab. We can do footer, and we see the same presets come up. So maybe we want to jump down to our footer. There's a button for that. Click go to footer. There we go. So we could put a preset in there. This is where you can find the file on my computer, but I don't want to do another preset at the bottom. I might want to make my own footer. So let's look at how we can do that. In the next section of the design tab, we have all sorts of little quick placement options. So current time, for example, if I want to put the current time or the current date, let's go ahead and put both of those. So I'm going to do current date, and you see it puts the little placeholder there. Then I'm going to do comma, current time. Awesome. So let's click away somewhere else in the document, and there we go. It put in the data. What else would I like to put? I could put page number, and then maybe I want to put out of, and then number of pages. So number of pages is how many pages long is this document. So I'll click away, and it says 1 out of 2, because this is page 1, and then the second page says 2 out of 2. Alright, maybe I want to put a picture here, because that was an option that's available to us. So click picture, game time, placeholder for the picture is right there, and then let's click away. There we go, that picture is back there. It's kind of hard to see at the moment. And then once we have it selected, it's hard to actually click on the picture. You're going to just grab the placeholder instead, and then you can format it with, you know, maybe you need to make it a little shorter. Let's bring it down to 0.4 in height. Okay, let's see. Ah, there we go. That's a lot more reasonable. Awesome. Okay. There's some last minute options that you might want to change with your header and footer. So you might want a different first page, and so if you do that, your first page clears off, but all those options that you worked on previously, they're still on the second page and any other pages of the document. You would just need to add the appropriate header or footer you wanted here. Maybe you don't want one, so that's fine. You just leave it blank. And the other option would be, let me click back in my header, different odd and even pages. So then you would have to come up with a set for the odd and a set for the even. Okay, scale with document, turn that on. Let's scroll down to the bottom, see what that does. So scale with document, just make sure that as you change your document that the header and footer change along with it, and you might have times when it's appropriate to have that turned on, or times when it's appropriate to have it turned off. And then align with page margins. You can see there's a slight change in the footer section sizes based on how you have your margins set. So that's up here in this ribbon that you might want to do some changes. Okay, that's it for the header and footer. And now we're kind of stuck in this weird view. So let's go to the View tab, and we'll go back to Normal. Great. Okay. If you get back to this view and you notice that you have weird kind of marching ants or dotted lines, that's the page breaks showing. Let me show you how to turn those off. You will go to File, Options, Advanced, and display options for this worksheet. Okay, so that's about at the halfway point of this dialog box. And you can turn those on or off. If they're bothering you, just go ahead and turn them off, and they will be gone from your worksheet. Let's finish up this Insert tab. We are getting so close to the end. Word art, you can select the word art that you like. And really all it is a text box that has a more exciting text formatting in it. And then you can go in and put your desired text, and then you can edit this text as you feel fit. And that's really it for word art. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Signature line, let's add a signature line. I'm going to, if we click the button, then we'll get a message. I'm just going to hit OK. And this is if someone needs to actually sign off on this document. Maybe they needed to check people's scores so that they could send them the prizes. So I'm going to put a space for someone in charge. I'm going to name her Lily Evans, and she's the game night coordinator. And maybe she's L. Evans at GameNight.net. Alright, and you might want to allow her to add comments to the sign dialog box. Maybe not. I'll turn that on. And then do you want to show the date in the signature line, or show the date that it's signed in the signature line? So okay. And we get this box pop up. Okay, so that's where the person would be expected to sign, and pretty much you can treat it like an image, and by that I mean you can move it around, you can resize it. It really doesn't let you do much other formatting though. Okay, I'm going to delete that. No need to leave that around. Don't worry about objects. You won't need to know anything with objects. And let's move on to equations. So if I click the drop down for equations, I'm going to get a lot of presets. So maybe I'm doing the Pythagorean theorem. Let me just add Pythagorean theorem. Oop. Looks like the text box is too tiny. I'm going to drag it. Alright. And I can just select the box, and then I could change things like color or font size or actual font or alignment. And that's how you do preset equations. I'm going to delete this guy. Let's go back. If you need to write your own equation, then click on the actual pi symbol up here. Okay. Move this down a little, and you just click so that you get that kind of blue highlight, and then I'm going to put my equation. Okay. And same formatting rules apply. Just select the whole box and then make it the size you want, and you're just going to have to resize the box to fit the text. That's all. Great, we are so close to being done. Let's get rid of the equation and symbol. So let's say I'm adding first names to this chart. Let's say someone's name was Renee. Well, Renee has an E with an accent on it, so I'm going to want to go to symbol. And look, that accent is already highlighted, so here's what I do. I can double click it. It appears right there. And the other option, if I didn't want to double click, would be to just highlight with a single click and insert. So now there's two of them, not that I need to. Once you're done with the dialog box, close, and let's get rid of that one E. Okay, great. That's it for the Insert tab. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you got something out of this video.